As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at 0. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Hello, everybody across all of our channels. We have LinkedIn, hello, Facebook, and also YouTube. Welcome to Zero to Hero. This is your host, Jen Kwok. We're on episode 8, and I have the most awesome Francisco Oller Garcia here with me today. Francisco, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Jen. Just wanted to preface everything by saying I know we're a couple months before like Christmas and the holidays, but Francisco is always a fun name to say according to Buddy the Elf. So just stating facts for everybody to know. Who I am, what I've been through, what is life, right? For me, everything I do is driven and shaped by my why, and my why is to elevate others and to help them unlock their potential and to see that there's possibilities all around us. And the reason why this drives me, why this motivates me, is because when we look at our lives, what is one present force that is always there, right? And it's that self-doubt, that thing that we aren't worthy, or that we don't have, what we need to have in order to go to where we want to go. But the beauty of life is that when we have a why that goes beyond when we have a why that goes beyond us, we have that reservoir of fuel that keeps us supercharged. And if we think about our lives, there's nothing more impactful than leaving a lasting legacy, and a legacy of kindness, of gratitude, and rooting for others. So that's kind of who I am. What I do is I work for a health tech company that is revolutionizing health insurance by sustaining the health of the workforce while driving cost savings. And that is, one of the most impactful things, because our health is our wealth. And if we have it, then we can better serve others.
I love that. Because I hear my husband so many times say, why, the why is very important. And so I felt like you really put that into perspective of what your why is and what drives and motivates you every day. And the question that I have for you actually kind of goes along where you were already going. So this is kind of just in a couple sentences, give me an elevator pitch about you. Who is Francisco? And it's kind of to kind of like you did, to pinpoint who you are in your everyday life, apart from your business, apart from everything else, like maybe hobbies, activities, like who are you, Mr. Francisco?
Who am I? I would say my elevator pitch is rolling beyond life's challenges, right? And the reason why I say that is my elevator pitch is because our mindset is our greatest asset. If we look at our lives and we look everything we have done, at one point those were challenges, but they have now become our area of expertise. So I'm all about rolling beyond life's challenges and seeing the opportunities and possibilities all around me. And what matters most is not exactly what happens to us, but how we take action and focusing on what we can control. That really proves the difference. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about seeing the opportunities all around me, really looking at challenges as just another opportunity to thrive. And ultimately, how can I take what I'm learning and what I'm doing to empower others?
So what is something, just to go a little bit deeper here with you, what is something that you like to do or like to eat, or just something that no one knows about you? Because I know you have a lot of friends on LinkedIn. You have a lot of people that like love to follow you and love to meet up with you. So what's something that no one knows that you would feel comfortable with sharing, of course?
I think this is one of the difficult parts of being an extrovert and an extrovert on LinkedIn, is that there aren't that many things that people don't know about me or that I haven't talked about. I think what I most enjoy, and people may know this just because I talk about it all the time, but it's just listening to people's stories and just spending time just asking questions and getting to know them, because that's what makes our lives richer, and that's what makes the journey much more enjoyable. The more we meet people that expand our horizons, that make us think differently, that show us their heart, their passions, their values, that's what makes life cool. And it's a simple pleasure, but it's one in which I find myself always smiling and always grateful for.
And I can definitely say, as an onlooker of, just watching your content and following your journey, even before we got to meet up, which we've met up before I ever met you, I already could tell this is a superbly awesome guy who really cares about people. I just felt this is a good-hearted guy. I have to meet him in person, and then I really enjoyed meeting up with you and finding that, okay, this perception that I have of Francisco was actually correct. It is, you exemplify who you are, and I really love that about you. So, okay, so tell us about your social media journey, because everybody starts at zero. We don't get to the hero part right away. We have to work at it, which you've done. So tell us about your journey.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the toughest parts in no matter what you do, is like, what do I share? What do I talk about? And how often do I talk about it? Right. So in thinking about my own journey, there were kind of values that I had central to them. And one was to be me, right? Above all, be you, because then your message resonates much, much more powerfully. Second is to be consistent and create accountability. If you post, once 1 month and like 3 times the other and 4 times, or then you post nothing,
Right.
then people don't get to know you because you aren't being consistent and holding yourself accountable, whether it be writing it down or telling your friend or telling your mentor. That's what makes you want to really achieve it. So having those core values central allowed me to go into the journey of social media with a very clear focus and a very clear vision. But then the next step is, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about that nobody else has talked about, right? But that's kind of like putting yourself in a self-defeating purpose, because it's like everything has been talked about, at least in some way, shape, or form. But what perspective, what can you add? And that's how I came down to talking about gratitude and gratitude every week. And I think you've seen this, that I post every week. It's either gratitude Saturday or Sunday, where I kind of recap all the people that I've met that week in a sentence or two of the impact they have had on me. And what this allowed me to do was to have a greater journey, because I'm working together. It isn't just about my story and what I am, because that's important, right? Because ultimately, why people work with you is not exactly your service or your product, but it's about them knowing the person behind it, and that they'll answer the call, and that they'll be there when they are needed. And even if they're not needed, they're there and they're visible. And that's how I got started in my journey. It was just posting once a week about gratitude, and I can post more, but never less than once a week. So really being consistent and committed to that. And what I have seen is not only has my community grown, because I don't like to call it network, I like to call it a community, but I've also been enriched with perspective, with values, with life, and with so many people that I never would have had the pleasure of meeting if I didn't just take one step. And that's what's important, is the smallest actions can have the biggest impacts. So never forget that.
And that definitely rings true with me, especially when it comes to the community and the people part. And that's something that, my husband and I believe in, and that's something that we've seen you do on a consistent basis. And not only does that, and I know that you can vouch for this, not only does it affect the people whom you've met and really lift them up and put them out there for other people to see. And, I'm sure it blesses their life. But also, your gratefulness is shining out, and other people, like me, who would go on and follow your content, we can see that. Like, wow, he met with so many people this week, or wow, that person affected his life like that. Oh, and that one, and that one, and that one. And it really brings value to people on this platform, to each individual person. So as you're lifting themselves up, it's also a big blessing to you and to them. And so definitely really, there's no words. So it's just, here's the action for that. Really cool. I love it. What a great plan. So actually in line with social media, I did have one other question for you. What platform do you like the most? And I guess I could probably already guess, but then what did you start out on? Like, where are you across the platforms? Like, where did you start your journey?
Definitely. My favorite platform is, as you may have guessed, is LinkedIn, just because it's both a place where you can be professional and create business partnerships and everything. But what I love is that it has evolved to be this place where you can show who you are, what are your values, what drives you, what's important. And starting there was really important. And what I would encourage people is, in whatever platform you are, find ways to take them offline, because what is a platform today may not be the platform that is used tomorrow. But if you create that relationship and nurture it and foster it and make it strong, then you aren't relying on a platform to keep it going.
Wow.
And where I'm at in all the different platforms, I'm active on all of them. It's just trying to focus my time on one, which has been LinkedIn. But there's different aspects, right? Because some accomplishments and some things that happen in my life, obviously I want to let my friends know. Sometimes I'll text them, but what's great about Facebook and Instagram is that you can do it in a visual manner, and you can get your message much more quickly out there. So I'm involved in all of them, is just focusing on one, but also focusing on what can I do to take this beyond the surface.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did know it was LinkedIn. So I'll start there. I did know it was LinkedIn, but I wanted to hear you say that and make sure, not just assume that on you. And also, Facebook is used for business, but it does tend to be more personal. It's where a lot of people gather, not just people in business, and Instagram as well. So it's really fun to showcase. I know it seems like you're a pretty active person, so just showcasing everything that you're up to in your life. I do have people on LinkedIn. I like what you said about taking them from here and moving them over, because yes, platforms are always changing. They're always evolving. There's always new things coming up. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm on Snapchat. Okay, Snapchat. I don't see that as much now. Now I'm on this. It just TikTok. Okay, where's TikTok going? Okay, we're not sure yet. Okay, let's see and so I have had friends that I definitely am like, okay, we need to keep this relationship going. I am going to be on Facebook. I don't think it's going anywhere, at least for now. So let's be friends on there as well. And get to know more me, my personal life, my children, what I'm doing in my life. So awesome. Very cool, cool. So every superhero has a defining moment. I love these defining moments. What is yours when it comes to life and career?
Mine was early on. So for those of you who don't know or who can't see, well, because it's like from here on up. So I was born with a physical disability, and all that means is that I move around in a wheelchair. What's cool about it is that I can say no matter where I go, I'm always on a roll. And
yes, I caught that in the beginning. I didn't know if anyone else knew, but I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Just let's roll with it. Let's roll with it. Keep going.
Let's roll.
Let's roll with
the
it.
reason why I say that is because yes, my disabilities are part of who I am, and it has shaped my perspective, but it doesn't stop me in any way, shape, or form, and neither does it define me. I define it. Because when I think about it, my only true limitations are, well, one, my greatest enemy, stairs. Just joking. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with stairs. But the insight or the kernel of truth in there is that I can do everything everyone else can. I just have to do it a little bit differently, right? It may mean having to find my friends to carry me up the stairs. And I remember that in college, going to college in Rhode Island, or hill or whatever it may be, right? There's nothing stopping me as long as I see the possibilities all around me. And that defining moment has been so important because what it has taught me is to lean into the unknown and the uncomfortable, and to challenge myself to go beyond my limits, because sometimes the right choice isn't the easy choice, and we have to be willing to make it, but we also have to go with the understanding that nothing is set in stone. We can adapt and pivot, and we can change or do so much. We're capable of greatness. But now when we take it a level up and we inspire greatness in others, then that's what's awesome. And that's why my defining moment has always been not just my disability, but moments where I've been able to have an impact, whether it be small, on somebody else's life, and seeing them succeed, because I'm powered by people to make an impact. And as long as I can continue to do that, then my life is incredibly worth it every single day.
And I imagine it's very fulfilling as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just having that gratefulness and that positive mentality is already, there has to be a sense of fulfillment in that already. And then doing all of this, other stuff that comes out of your heart is just making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So in your childhood, was there, since you said that this was something that you were born with, and that's part of your defining moment in your childhood, was there a moment, was it built into your mindset, through your parents or people around you, or is it something that there was actually a moment where you stopped and went, I'm just going to accept this, and I am going to, it's sitting here, I'm still going to have a mindset that's positive and not let it stop me? Like, was there ever a point like that where you remember from childhood?
Definitely from, if you count going into college as your childhood, or still being a child at heart. And the reason why I say that is I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I went to college in Rhode Island, which two different spectrums completely, weather-wise, culture-wise, everything, right? And I remember. Go ahead.
Oh, culturally, in every way.
And I remember it was orientation, right? It was August of 2012, right? I was excited, just put my stuff in my dorm room, was like trying to get my parents to be like, okay, like I just want to make friends. I've seen you every day of my life for like the past like 18 years. Can we can we hurry up a little bit here? And I remember as I saw my parents walking away, and I looked towards like the quad and the campus, I was like, I do not know a single person here. I am not from any of the eastern states. I'm, in a wheelchair. I'm all this. And what I remember was feeling this feeling of self-doubt and like, what am I doing here? Why did I decide to do this? And it's in those moments that we find that we're capable of rising to the challenges and rising to different occasions. And it wasn't, that one moment that changed it. It was just every day taking little actions and going outside my comfort zone and being vulnerable and sharing about my life. And when it happened was, I remember early in my senior year, or early in my freshman year, I decided to put on the first ever motivational speaking event on campus. And what was amazing is we had booked a room, and I had so many of my friends like I want to see you. This is so exciting. And then an hour before the event, the room was full and there was still a line of people waiting to come in. So we had to scramble to find a bigger space.
Oh
and
my goodness.
That was my defining moment, because I saw that we inspire people by being ourselves. And sometimes what we think is a quirk or something we don't like is exactly what somebody finds makes us human and encourages them and gives them self-acceptance or something. It impacts them in such a way that you never know about. And as we go across our lives, we will encounter the fact that people won't tell us the impact we've had on them. And that's okay. But that's why I've made it my central mission to express gratitude, to express joy, because you never know how just one thank you or just how are you doing, miss you, can change the trajectory of that person's day or even their life sometimes.
And that comes from a perspective, Francisco, of caring about people and loving people and building them up and encouraging them. And there is nothing more attractive to the human race than a person who can do that. It's like a magnet, because everybody needs that encouragement. Even people who encourage need that encouragement. Especially during these negative times, we need our hero, Francisco. So, so in that sense, you're being a very big blessing and definitely a hero. And that's just my opinion. But we're going to hear what you have to say about this. What are the attributes that actually define a hero? So now it's your turn to define that.
Absolutely. And there's so many different attributes, but I'm going to focus on three. I think the first one is humility, right? There's nothing more important in life than being self-aware and understanding what are your strengths and what are areas in which you need help or in which you need to collaborate with others. If we think about the most important things that have been done in our lives or in the history of humanity, right? They were done collectively. So having that understanding of who you are and what you do and how you can help one another is crucial. So it's kind of two in one now that I think about it. Humility and self-awareness, they kind of go together, because sometimes we have to humble ourselves and say, I don't have the answer. And that's fine, because we take on so many things in life that we don't know the answer, but we discover it by taking action and understanding that in taking this action, we might not get the result we want, but we will get farther along than just keeping it in our head. So humility and self-awareness. Secondly is gratitude. I think gratitude is one of the things that has shaped my life and given me a lot of purpose because when you make others feel, when you champion people, there's no greater feeling. And if we think about the superheroes, the everyday superheroes, what they do is they help others and they elevate others, and they do so in such a way that is very genuine and very human. And the third is, I think I'm at 4 now, but 3 in terms of the central.
You can name as many as you want. You can just keep going, A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. Good stuff. Go ahead.
And the third would be vulnerability. I think we have to be willing to be open and to share, right? If we think about life and we think about the people that inspire us, the reason why we've connected with them is because they've allowed us to go beyond the surface and to connect with them. And I know that's hard, right? I can tell you vulnerability isn't the easiest thing. And there was at one point in my life that I wasn't just like, so like in the first like 2 or 3 minutes of a conversation, tells them like, hey, I have a physical disability. I'm in a wheelchair, but it's totally fine because I never have to compete for chairs at events, and I can just see the person. One is just like the tension goes from their face like entirely.
Yes.
But the more important part is, since I'm addressing the elephant in the room, it cuts that tension away. Now we can talk from a place of genuine humanity and genuine humanness.
Yes.
Because now the conversation isn't about, I know he's thinking about my wheelchair and he doesn't want to ask me like, it's completely fine. It's my life. I live it every day. Like, for me, it's just another thing, right? I just have to think about my day a little bit more and take a little bit more to do certain things because I have to find a way around it. But that's completely fine. But when we're vulnerable, then we connect heart to heart. And that's extremely powerful in a hero, because they help you unlock things you didn't know about yourself. And at the same time, you do it for them.
That's a lot to think about. That's a lot to like process and think through, because I was stuck on just the humility part and how self-awareness can go 2 ways. It can either make you more selfish or it can make you more selfless. And so, for you, coming from a heart of gratefulness, self-awareness is going to make you a better person. And then on the vulnerability part, my thought that was coming to my mind was that not everybody, it is very hard for everybody to be vulnerable to some extent. But it's even more hard for those who don't feel good about who they are to be able to share those negatives. We don't want people to know any negatives. We just want them to see the positives of us. So I like that. That's challenging. And I think that we all need to be challenged on vulnerability, especially when it comes to connecting and forming relationships through social media, like on LinkedIn, because I can portray anything I want to you. Even on my stories, I can choose which pictures go out, which ones are edited or which ones, what I want you to see. And so I love being challenged by that. I think that's definitely heroic activity right there. Heroic attributes. So if you had to pick a superhero, and these questions you didn't know, but I did mention this one to you just to kind of prepare you a little bit, that relates best to you, who would that be and why?
I've always been a big believer in choosing everyday superheroes. So I would have to say, like, my parents and my mother, but both my parents and my mother, which are one in the same. Because I can't imagine, right, being having a child with a disability and raising him to understand that I'm no different than anybody else just because I have to do things differently. It doesn't detract from me in any way, shape, or form. And that is heroic because they've instilled in me these values of gratitude, of humility, of self-awareness, and everything that I've talked about are just things that my parents have taught to me and that they have encouraged within me. And that's why I'm so grateful to them and so grateful for all that they do for me. And how can I take everything they've done and everything they've encouraged in me and take it a step beyond and take it to my community and to the people that I interact with, right? Because when you hear me talk, when you see me smile, because I'm always kind of like smiling is just what people tend to remember about me amongst many things, including that I have the best wheels in town. But that's our secret. And that's why they're my superheroes. And if we can find the superheroes around us, then we're supercharged, and that's magnetic.
Well, usually positive mindsets, not always, but they usually come from our parents who have instilled those things, or somebody around us that had close contact as we're growing up. I love that. That's so precious. And they gave you something incredibly special that you're going to have, from now to the rest of your life. And it's impacting so many people. See, when they were giving that to you and instilling that in you, they may have been thinking, I want to give Francisco the best life. But they may not, I don't know, that I might be wrong, but they may not have thought, when I touch this our son, he's going to bless so many other people. And so that's pretty cool, because one person can have an impact on so many. And I know people, including myself, who are not in a wheelchair, but we struggle more with this mentality, than you or, some other people that I know that are disabled, and they have like an amazing mindset. So it really doesn't matter what situation you're in. It just has to do with your mindset and how you allow gratefulness to come into your life, flow through you and out of you. It has to do with perspective. And, the world struggles with that. As Kevin said, my husband, our perspective matters so much. I appreciate him chiming in on the show. It does. It really matters. So, and I know that you know that. Well, that is so awesome. So tell me real quick. I know that you are on LinkedIn. You said you're on Facebook, Instagram. I want, more people to get connected with you and to really be able to draw from that positive energy, that smile that you have on your face, and be impacted by that. And so how is the best way for people to follow you, or where should we go?
Definitely LinkedIn, Francisco Oller Garcia, MBA. After my 6 years of school, I got a nice little abbreviation out of it. So yes. Being very proud of that. And then on Instagram and Twitter, my handle is Vitamin Cisco, just because I thought about perspective and mindset. So it's like getting your little vitamin of positivity every day from this very smiling, passionate, proud Puerto Rican that has lived a lot of life, has faced a lot of weather. And same here for me. It's when we connect with others, when we learn from others, that's what makes life a journey. So I really do encourage everybody who wants to meet me, talk with me, or just say, hey, what's up? How you doing? To absolutely go ahead and do that.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So he said, Francisco Oller Garcia here on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
You guys can follow him. He said at Vitamin Cisco on
Yep.
Twitter and I believe IG.
Mhm.
So, guys, I'm not joking. If you want some vitamins in your daily life that shed positivity, Francisco is definitely your guy. And also, he will take the time, to meet up with you and or have a conversation or whatever you guys are looking for. So definitely want to give him a shout out on here and make sure that you follow him. All right. Well, thank you so much, Francisco, for being with us today. If you'll just stay on after so that we can chat with you for a minute. It is wonderful to have you on Zero to Hero. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming on the show
Thank you.
today. And we will see you next week for
Can I say
episode
one
9.
more thing? Just
Yeah.
one more thing.
Yeah,
This
please.
is my favorite quote of all time, and it's from the writer of Winnie the Pooh, A.A. Milne, and he says, "You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. So whatever you're going through today, know that it isn't permanent, and that you have the actions, that you can take the actions, and you have the people around you that will help get you to where you want to go. Yes, nothing in life is a given, but there are many helping hands that help us get to where we want to go."
That's awesome. And Francisco and I will definitely be a hand for all of you.
Absolutely.
Super powerful. So we'll wrap it up with that then. We'll see you guys all episode 9.